Let's talk about things that lead to divorce because this is the time period, intimacy versus isolation, when you'll probably be getting married or considering getting married or at least getting in a relationship. And so where I'm taking this research from is the expert on marriage. His name is John Gottman, and he's devoted over 20 years to studying couples in the laboratory. And he says that he can tell with 80% accuracy of whether or not a couple is likely to divorce or not. And so basically, I want to share with you just the keys of his research. But if you wanted to read more about this, you could read the book Why Marriages Succeed or Fail. And I urge you to read as much up on marriage because, there's a saying when I teach my sexuality class, there's a saying, we ask all these questions, true and false questions about marriage. And one of them is, most couples spend much more time planning the wedding than planning on how they're going to stay married. And that's very true. A lot of people put lots of time and effort and energy in planning the wedding, but they never really sit down and figure out, okay, how are we going to do finances? How are we going to solve conflict? How are we going to come up with compromise? How are we going to negotiate your time versus my time? A lot of couples never address those problems, and then that's what comes up. So what Gottman found is he found that there's no really one marital style that works. Some marriages there's lots of fights, some marriages there's no fighting, some marriages there's just discussing issues. And that a lot of people think that, oh, the couples that discuss their issues are the ones that are going to survive, and then the couples that don't fight have a problem, and then the couples that do fight have a problem. But what he found is he found that all of those marriage styles will work as long as a marriage has a ratio of positive to negative interactions is a 5.1. So what he's saying is you have to have a 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative interactions in order for a relationship to work. So if you fight, then you have to spend a lot of time making up. If you don't fight, you don't have to actions. But he says that when the ratio falls from like 50-50 to 50 positive to 50 negative, the marriage is on its way to divorce. Now, he found that there's 4 basic things that lead to divorce, and I thought that I would share them with you because by stopping the first one, you can probably stop the next ones. Stage 1, but some couples are so uncomfortable with click that they can go straight to stage 4. So it's not necessarily that you have to spend a lot of time in one of these things. It depends on the status of the marriage. So let's see what the first one is, criticism. So if you stop the criticism from entering marriage, you're going to be a step ahead of the game. So what criticism is it's different than complaining. Complaining is okay. Criticism is attacking the other person's character. So, for example, saying, you never do anything around this house. You never think of anybody but yourself. You're so selfish. Those are criticism. Complaining would be, I need some help around this house. I'm really feeling overwhelmed. I feel like you don't consider my needs when you think of plans for us. I feel like I'm working very, very hard and I need some more support. So the difference basically between criticism and complaining is using I statements, and it's a very, very good habit in every area of your life. Just don't use you statements, use I statements. I feel this, I feel that. I don't see how anyone can ever tell you that your feelings are wrong. When you say, I feel hurt when you don't call me, it sounds so much different like, you never call me. You're telling your feelings, okay? So then the next one is once we criticize, once we say you're so lazy, let's face it, criticism hurts, and if you hurt somebody enough, then they're going to attack back. And so what the next step from criticism is contempt. And contempt is when you say things to deliberately hurt the person. When we are feeling so hurt, then we kind of use this warfare on the other person. I mean, it's like this verbal warfare where we say things that are like hitting below the belt. Like you're saying the thing that you know will really hurt them. Like each of us has a weak spot. So let's say, for example, a woman is having a hard time losing the baby weight, and she feels very self-conscious about that. And the husband says to her, well, the reason why, we don't have sex anymore and I don't want to take you out is because you are too lazy to lose that baby weight. that would be like a form of contempt. Or if a man feels very unsure of himself for not raising enough money for the family, if the wife attacked and said, you know, why our family has so much problems, it's because you can't get a raise and you don't work hard enough, and you're attacking their weak spot. That's what contempt is. Yeah. Once you hit the contempt, once you've hit somebody's weak spot, like their vulnerability, it's like created a deep wound. And in order to cover this deep wound, then a lot of people go into this mode called defensiveness. They're so afraid of that wound getting attacked again that what they do is they go into a mode of protection. And so now all of their interactions tend to be colored by defensiveness. Like, so for example, the woman is so hurt from the man telling her, well, the reason why we don't go out all the time is because you won't lose that baby weight. So now when she comes out, he says, hey, do you want to go out? She might say, no, I think I just want to sit around and be fat today. You know, he's asking her, you know, at a later time, would you like to go out? And she interprets that statement defensively. Or if, let's say they're shopping at a store and they're just grocery shopping and the husband tends to come along and the woman says, oh, should we get this pie for dinner or something? He might say something like, oh no, we have to ration everything because I can't make enough money for the family. So once the dialogue between the two, you know, once somebody's hit the contempt where they're really hitting the weak spots, people become protective and they interpret a lot of statements in an aggressive manner when really they were just neutral, like a neutral statement. Hey, how was your day? Why would you want to know? You don't care about me. That's like defensiveness. Okay, once defensiveness comes in, it's like it seems to make the other person shut down. Both people start to shut down where they're like, well, you know what, why should I even bother trying to talk to them because they're just going to get defensive all the time. So it's better off if we just don't talk. And so when the couple starts living separate lives, that's called stonewalling. And once the stonewall comes in, Gottman says that you have about 80% chance of divorce. So stonewalling is the couple is tired of fighting. They don't see that the fighting is even getting them anywhere. And so they both stop fighting and they just start to live. It's like they've given up and they start to live separate lives. So that's the stone wall. It's like there's a stone wall between them and it's not broken.